Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have a special guest, Roxy from Roxy Talks.
Hi!
Hey, Roxy. Thanks for joining us here. Everybody wanted us to do a collab, and here we are. So if you guys haven't already subscribed, definitely subscribe. Hit the bell icon below because I do put out new videos every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. So today we are going to talk about something that's been highly requested. We're going to talk about quantum physics and the science behind our thoughts creating, because I think it's a really interesting topic. So yeah, maybe Roxy, maybe you can start us off here. So how do our thoughts create?
So for me, I really like this quantum physics idea because it helps us draw correlations between what energy does on this planet, and we're all energy. You're energy, I'm energy, SP's energy, money's energy. So if we can look at how energy behaves, we can make correlations and make connections to how things work for us. So my kind of way I look at it is just in the same way that energy kind of is in waves or particle form. It kind of has that duality, even though technically it's both things at once. Here, when we're on Earth, here in this planet, things come to particle form and they're solid matter, or they appear to be solid matter. And we have our connection to the energetic field, which obviously everything is here. All energy has been and always will be here. So everything that we want to access or create or experience in our life is here somewhere. We just have to lock in on it in our mind to kind of shift ourselves into that reality where that is current for us or has already happened or whatever it is. So the way that I kind of made that quantum physics connection was watching the double slit experiment when they were launching the particles through the curtain or the sheet or whatever and then onto the wall. They started out in the particle form. They went to energy, and then they became infinite potentiality, and then they ended up back on the wall as particle. I'm really dumbing it down here, but the course basically went from like thing to potentiality, energy to thing again. And I realized that's exactly what's happening when we manifest. We're here, we send out this idea, it goes out to the universe, it's infinite potentiality. It can come about in who knows what way. That's kind of not our, territory.
Right.
And then
you know what about that? Yeah.
So yeah, once it's here, it's back to physical matter again.
Okay. Well, with the double slit experiment that you're talking about, the one interesting thing that they found was the particles actually acted differently when they were being observed, and that was the biggest part of that experiment. And just if anybody would like to know, like, what the bleep down the rabbit hole, the extended version, they actually do a really good job of explaining the quantum physics on there as well. But basically, right, that means that the observer can actually alter what those particles are doing. And that's like, what? So how do we alter what those particles are doing? We actually do that with our intention and our focus. They're going to act the way that we intend to actually have them, because as you said, pure potentiality, there's everything available to us right now in everything. We have the scenario where we're here, we're there, we're with that person, we're not with that person. How do we get what we want? It's what you said, what we focus on, what we close in on with our intentions, with our conscious thought, or what's been programmed in our subconscious mind, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because once it's kind of out of your hands, it's out of your hands. Once you kind of send it off, it does become that, like, we don't know where it's going to end up. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know when it's going to be, how it's going to show up. But the way we entertain it when it's in that potentiality, that's where we kind of skew, what it is, mess with the scales or balance the scales, So if we are thinking, let's say I want to be with my SP and we're together, we're sending out my intentions for that, but then I'm worried about what they're doing. I'm worried if there's a third party. I'm essentially voting for all these different outcomes. Which one's going to happen? I don't know. Potentiality.
Oh, you're right. Now, things can be created like in a moment. Like I've, created things in an instant. I was waiting for an email and I was like, nope, you know what? Everyone's me pushed out my thoughts. Create. I'm like, that email's going to come right now. And then all of a sudden it was bing and it was there. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. Okay. And so when we've got, when we know what we're doing, we can actually conjure things up right in the moment when we need them. But you made an excellent point is when we're basically, I read this article on quantum physics and Flipboard, and basically every thought that we have passes through everything out there that we think is solid matter. Okay, so let's use let's use Jerry as an example. So let's say every time I think, well, I intend for Jerry to forgive me. Okay, every time I make that, let's say he's got 100 like atoms and particles in his head, in his body. Every time I think that, one or two of those particles will shift to him forgiving me. Now, when we put enough through him and enough of those change over to what we're resonating at and start vibrating with the forgiving intention, that's when he starts to think it's his idea and he starts to shift it. So basically your thoughts are penetrating through everything that looks solid in your reality, but nothing actually is solid. It's all just matter and energy, right? So your thoughts are constantly changing and resonating. So that's why it takes sometimes more than one intention, and you're right. And all those other stories and all those possibilities that you were creating by even thinking about them have to be kiboshed in the moment and switched into that one solid focus. Because when you've got those 20 different ideas, he's got 20 different ideas, right? I remember one day I wanted Andrew to come home for lunch. And then I thought, oh, he's probably going to go to McDonald's. I was like, no, he's going to come home. I'm like, no, he's going to go to McDonald's. I'm like, no, he's going to come home. Sure enough, he walks in the door and I said, hey, I'm like, you're home for lunch. He's like, yeah. He's like, I was debating about going to McDonald's, but then I decided I'd come home. Oh yeah. I was shifting back, forth. He was going back, forth. I mean, but because we are constantly resonating out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like uncertainty just breeds more uncertainty. You're not knowing what your person's doing, you get hot and cold behavior. Yeah. And, so just like we talked about in the first video, the focus, the discipline, the not letting yourself settle on those thoughts, that's where you make the change. Because whether it is programming or not, I'm not my programming. My programming is part of my system. I'm more than that. So I can step out of it and I can observe it and become aware of it and therefore change what I do with it. Step in that moment where I have that awareness of, oh, doing that thing again. No. And then we go back. No, absolutely. This is my person, or whatever the manifestation is. It's, and I like you talked about the instant manifestation too. The correlation between these two things is that when we have this knowing, this there's no question. It's just that this is that. It's a matter of fact. I don't care. This is what it is. It can go faster because there's no blockage. There's no other outcome that we're voting for, essentially. We're not out there saying, well, like with your email, I'm going to get this email right now. You didn't say, but if I don't, I'm going to BC. I'm getting the email, period.
Yeah. And everyone's going to be pushed out. My thoughts they're going to sit there right now and they're going to write that email and it's going to come right now. And I've got zero doubt about this. My favorite is I got zero blocks and resistance. This is happening, and it's a very powerful statement to remind yourself that your thoughts create and that everyone is you pushed out. So powerful. And, so powerful to remember, that everything is just energy and we're constantly shifting all the particles around us. We can actually, and I've seen it done, we can actually bend spoons. We think of something as physical matter. We can actually bend it with our minds. Like there is no limit to what we can actually do. We can change our appearance. We can change ourselves. We can change our health. We can change money. I mean, we can retract it to us. We can change relationships. We can change people's minds. Okay. And all we have to do is believe that these people are going to do what we want them to do. Right. And it's so powerful. And my favorite is if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's there to see it, was there even a tree? No. Things don't exist if you don't witness them. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing.
The awareness, the consciousness is what materializes things in our world. So if I do not offer my consciousness or my awareness any thoughts about stuff that doesn't work for me, I don't care what my 3D world says because I'm in control, then that's what I get. If I don't offer any other outcome, if I don't show you any other potentiality, you have no reason to bring it back to me. It's a mirror. And it's just like everyone is you pushed out. It's because you are choosing to attract and to billow on and to advertise and whatever, that you attract these types of people. This is how people should treat me. This is how they respond to certain things. This is what I expect for them to do. No matter how much you want something to change for yourself, if at the core you're not convinced, the universe isn't convinced either.
Right? Oh yeah, no, it's all about, can you see it as possible for yourself? You know, that's the hugest thing, right? You know, it's you know, it comes to changing people and relationships. You know, people say, well, you know, are they going to change? Is this possible? And the question for them is always, well, can you see them as changing? Because we're not changing the other person. We're changing our opinion of what we think about them. Okay, so, you know, if we don't want anyone to reject us, never accuse anyone of rejecting us. If we don't want anyone to be mean to us, never accuse their behavior as being mean to us. If we don't want to feel like we're not good enough, then never make what someone does to you mean that you're not good enough. Never take people's, you know, what they do personally, right? Be the observer. You know, I'm the observer. So I've got this body, sure, I control it, and I control everything else in my reality. So I can either, you know, be part and react to things that show up, or I can step back and observe it and say, oh, you know what, moved my spacesuit the wrong way, not going to do that again. I'm going to change this, change that, right? You know, because really, you know, it's all just about, you know, creating and experiencing, creating and experiencing. And if you create something and experience it and you don't like it, then maybe not do it again, right?
Yeah. I like that question. People are always like, what if I lose this? Or what if I don't get my manifestation? It's like, make a new one. Get a new one. Do it right now. Manifest a new one. I'll lose my shoe. I don't care. I'll find a new one. I don't care. Whatever it is. We were talking before about your earring that you lost on a cruise.
The backing.
Yeah. This is not this. I will find this. I don't care.
Yeah. I found it too. It was so tiny too. And I found it. Like, I can't even, and it was gray, the same color as the carpet. Like, I can't believe I found it. And it was like in between the carpet and the thing. And I think the guy like vacuums every day, because like they're always, I don't know if you've been on a cruise, but they're always cleaning your stateroom, right? Like, you know, it's like you drop a towel for some reason. Like, I don't know when they come in there, but like they're like, you know, like 3-4 times a day, right? You know, and yeah, so it was really quite a miracle that all of a sudden, boom, it was, and I swear I've looked there before. You know, but yeah, it just happens. When we choose to focus consciously on something, that's when it's going to show up to us. And that's when we're actually taking all those possibilities and we're collapsing them into one particular place. And that's when we get our manifestation. So we're not waiting for a manifestation to happen. You're waiting for yourself to shift into thinking about it, seeing from it, thinking from it. Like, what does thinking from it mean? Well, thinking from it means that you're going to think from being in a relationship. So let's say Jerry comes home and he's like, well, I want to see other teddy bears, right? Now, if I'm thinking from a relationship that's going to work, it's going to be like, okay, something's going on with Jerry. Not, oh, Jerry's rejected me, that's it, it's over, right? You know, we want to think from it, right? So we always want to make everything that happens mean that, you know, everything's okay. Then if we look at it like, oh, he's just upset right now, that's why he said he wanted to see other teddy bears, but he'll get over it. Boom, that's thinking from the end of a good relationship, rather than, oh no, it's the end of the world, he's never gonna forgive me, I accidentally painted his fur black, oh my goodness, right? You know, so poor Jerry. He's like, hola. He's got a sombrero. But anyways, you know, so yeah. Yeah, so wow, I hope that helps everybody, yeah, with how the science behind this works. And thank you again so much, Roxy, for being here, sharing your knowledge. I love it. If you guys want more on the quantum physics, the science behind it, like I said, What the Fleep Down the Rabbit Hole, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who did you say? David Wilcox?
David Wilcox, and also check out PBS has amazing quantum physics episodes on their YouTube.
PDS or PVS?
PBS. Oh yeah, because you're not American. PBS is the public broadcast service.
Oh no, we get PBS up here. I thought you said PBS. I was like, I love PBS. Really, I love that. I'm gonna watch that. That's really cool. Yeah,
really good.
So guys, if you guys need to know the science behind it, go check it out. But I mean, you know, the amazing thing was back in like Neville's day and like all these other, they didn't even know any of this, and it, you know, and they thought it, you know, and they just believed it. But like, so that took more of a leap of faith than what we do. And I just like to remind everybody of Albert Einstein's famous quote is, you know, no problem can be solved with the same level of thinking that created it. So, you know, I know that one's on my website as well as up here, you know, so it's all about getting on top of those thoughts, changing them, focusing on what you want, deserving that you believe it and that you're good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you have a hard time believing it, look into the quantum physics, because it's the most scientific evidence you're going to find about manifesting. And those people, they understand, they know that manifesting is real, because at the end of the day, it's not about this, I'm good enough, I'm good at it, I'm whatever. This is happening whether you like it or not, whether you know about it or not. So get on board and deal with it. You know, take your power.
Exactly. You know what? That's it. Like, you know, it's I remember somebody said to me once, like, I used to be into manifesting, but I stopped. And I'm like, that's impossible. You don't have a choice, you know, and that's just it. You're always doing it. It doesn't turn off. There is no choice. And I love now with quantum physics, it's taken this from metaphysical to actual real mainstream science. And, you know, and that is right there, you know, amazing. So yeah, it's real. It's real. And yeah, so awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the channel, Roxy. I so appreciate it. And guys, thank you guys so much for subscribing. Please check out Roxy's channel. We did part 1 over there. It's amazing. We answered a subscriber's question about confidence. And yeah, we'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.